Imagine this. It's the dead of night in downtown Los Angeles, and a grainy security camera captures a young woman stepping into an elevator. She presses every button, peers out into the shadowy hallway like she's hiding from something unseen, then vanishes into the darkness. Days turn into weeks, with no trace of her until hotel guests start complaining about strange tasting water coming from their taps. What they don't know is that the answer is chillingly close, hidden in plain sight on the rooftop. This is the story of Elisa Lam, a journey that began with wanderlust and ended in one of the most puzzling mysteries to ever grip the City of Angels. Let's step back and paint the picture of where this all unfolded. We're in the heart of Los Angeles in early 2013, a city buzzing with Hollywood glamour on one side and the gritty underbelly of Skid Row on the other. Tucked into that chaotic corner stands the Cecil Hotel, a towering Art Deco relic from the 1920s that's seen better days. Once a bustling spot for travelers, by the 2010s, it had transformed into the stay-on-Main budget hostel style, lodging that drew backpackers and solo adventurers looking for an affordable crash pad amid the urban sprawl. The hotel's labyrinthine halls, flickering lights, and echoes of its colorful past made it feel like stepping into a forgotten film noir set. But beneath the surface, it carried whispers of hardship, a place where stories of struggle intertwined with the dreams of those passing through. It was the kind of spot where a wide-eyed visitor from across the border might feel the thrill of independence, unaware of how quickly the city's pulse could turn unpredictable. At the center of this tale was Elisa Lam, a bright and introspective 21-year-old from Vancouver, Canada. Born to immigrant parents from Hong Kong, Elisa was the kind of young woman who poured her heart into words, starting a blog called Etherfields in 2010 to share her thoughts on life, literature, and the quiet battles she faced with her mental health. She was studying at the University of British Columbia, though she wasn't enrolled that semester, giving her the freedom to chase a solo adventure across the American Southwest. Diagnosed with bipolar disorder and depression, Elisa managed her days with a regimen of medications like Wellbutrin, Lamictal, Seroquel, Adderall, and Effexor tools. She sometimes struggled to stick with, leading to moments of unease that she openly reflected on in her writing. Yet those close to her remembered her as outgoing, curious, and full of life. A voracious reader who quoted Rilke and Kafka, a photography enthusiast capturing the world's fleeting beauty, and a daughter who called her parents every single day without fail. In late January 2013, fueled by a desire to explore on her own terms, Elisa set off from Vancouver. She hopped an Amtrak train south, stopping in San Diego to marvel at the zoo's pandas snapping photos she proudly shared online, before rolling into Los Angeles on January 26th. It was meant to be the start of a liberating trip. A few days in LA, then onward to Santa Cruz and beyond, mapping out memories under the California sun. The real unraveling began quietly on January 28th, when Elisa checked into the Cecil Hotel's stay-on-Main section, assigned a shared room on the 5th floor with 2 other young women. She dove into the city's rhythm, wandering through bookstores like the Last Bookstore, where she chatted animatedly with the manager about gifts for her family, her energy lighting up the aisles. But by the next day, tensions simmered in her room. Her roommates later described her as withdrawn, leaving cryptic notes like "go home" or "go away" on the door, and insisting on a password for entry. It wasn't hostility, but a subtle shift, perhaps the weight of traveling alone catching up, or the familiar fog of unmanaged symptoms creeping in. The hotel staff, sensing the discomfort, moved her to a private single room on the 14th floor. Just 2 days later, on January 30th, That adjustment seemed to settle things. Elisa appeared more at ease, even posting updates about her plans to check out the next day and head north. January 31st dawned like any other in the hotel's routine hum. Elisa was spotted by staff in the lobby, her backpack slung over one shoulder, looking ready for the day. Around noon, she made her daily call to her parents, David and Yina, sharing snippets of her adventures as always. But that evening, something shifted. Surveillance footage from one of the hotel's elevators captured the moment that would haunt investigators and internet sleuths alike. At about 12:20 a.m. on February 1st, technically the tail end of her last known day, Elisa steps into the empty elevator alone. The doors slide shut behind her, but instead of riding up, she jabs at every button on the panel, lighting up the entire row like a frantic game of connector dots. The car doesn't move. She peeks out into the dimly lit hallway, her head tilting as if listening for footsteps that never come. Then, she steps out entirely, gesturing oddly with her hands, waving them in front of her face, crouching low as if evading an invisible presence before darting back inside. The doors stay stubbornly open, and after hovering in the threshold, she slips away down the hall, out of frame. The elevator remains frozen, doors agape for over 20 minutes. Elisa never returns. It's a sequence that plays out in eerie silence, her light blue adventure top and black leggings catching the fluorescent glow, her expression a mix of caution and confusion. Hotel logs show no one else entered that elevator that night, and her room keycard wasn't swiped after that hour. By morning, her bed was untouched, her belongings neatly packed including her phone, wallet, and clothes folded just so. Elisa had vanished into the Cecil's concrete veins. Word of her absence spread slowly at first. When she didn't call on February 1st, her parents chalked it up to a busy day. But by February 2nd, worry set in. No check-in, no posts, nothing. They waited through the weekend, hearts heavy, before reaching out to the LAPD on February 8th. David and Yina boarded a flight from Vancouver that same day, arriving in LA to plaster posters across the city. Missing: Elisa Lam, 21 520, 115 pounds, last seen in blue top and black pants. The search kicked into gear with quiet urgency. LAPD detectives canvassed the Cecil, interviewing staff who recalled her as polite, but perhaps a bit distracted in her final hours. They scoured her room empty, pristine, and even brought in canine units to sniff the rooftop fire escape. But the dogs found no scent trail. Without evidence of foul play, they couldn't compel every guest to open their doors or drain the hotel's hidden corners. Leads trickled in: a possible sighting at a nearby coffee shop, a blurry photo from a street camera that turned out to be someone else. The family held a somber press conference on February 6th, standing stone-faced as officers appealed for tips. But Elisa's trail felt colder by the hour. The city's vastness swallowed her story at first, just another missing traveler in a metropolis of millions. Then, on February 13th, the LAPD dropped a bombshell: that haunting elevator footage, released in hopes someone might recognize her final movements. What was meant as a routine plea exploded online. The 4-minute clip raced across platforms, amassing millions of views in days, especially in Canada and China, where Elisa's roots drew a global wave of concern. Forums lit up with questions. Was she signaling for help? Hiding from a pursuer? The timestamp glitches and oddly edited feel fueled wild speculation, from cover-ups to urban legends tying into the hotel's shadowy reputation. Tips flooded in, over 100 in the first week alone, but most lead nowhere. Detectives chased shadows, A man claiming to be her stalker. Anonymous calls about a body in the dumpster. All dead ends. Meanwhile, life at the Cecil ground on guests showering unaware that the water pressure had started dipping, the flow turning murky and off-tasting by mid-February. Complaints piled up at the front desk. The tap water looks like tea, one guest grumbled. Maintenance logs noted leaks from the rooftop, but no one connected the dots. That connection snapped into focus on February 19th, a Tuesday that etched itself into infamy. The investigation surged forward like a storm. Coroner's teams whisked her body to the morgue for a February 21st autopsy, which hit a wall, inconclusive on cause, pending toxicology. Her parents, already shattered, identified her from photos. Too heartbroken for a full viewing, LAPD ramped up, sealing the roof, re-interviewing every soul who'd crossed her path. The elevator video looped endlessly in briefings. Was it a cry for help, a manic episode, or something orchestrated? Experts pored over her blog, piecing together her inner world. Posts about feeling lost, the pressure of expectations, but nothing hinting at despair. Toxicology results, delayed until June, revealed a twist. Traces of her prescription meds in her system, but not enough to suggest overdose or impairment. No illicit substances, no alcohol. The coroner, Dr. Lisa Shinin, pieced it together in a 17-page report. Accidental drowning, with bipolar disorder as the key contributing factor. Grok, render greater than likely. In a disoriented state, perhaps a breakthrough episode unchecked by full medication adherence. Elisa had wandered to the roof, drawn by some fleeting impulse, and slipped into the tank. The hatch's position suggested she might have been trying to exit when exhaustion or confusion overtook her. No evidence pointed to outside hands. Doors stayed locked, cameras blank. Yet doubts lingered. How did a 115-pound woman navigate that climb alone? Why no alarm? The hotel's spotty security, lax rooftop protocols, came under fire, sparking questions about guest safety in such overlooked spaces. As the pieces settled, the revelation hit like a quiet thunderclap. What began as a missing persons hunt ended not in malice, but in profound tragedy born of unseen vulnerabilities. The official ruling closed the book accidental. No charges filed, but it couldn't quiet the echoes. Elisa's family, grappling with unimaginable loss, filed a wrongful death suit in September 2013 against the hotel's owners, arguing negligence in maintaining hazards like unsecured rooftops. Grok, render greater than. They sought damages for burial costs and the pain of a preventable peril, painting the Cecil as a tinderbox for the vulnerable. A judge dismissed it in 2015, citing no proof of breach, but the case rippled outward, shining a light on mental health stigma and urban neglect. The hotel itself, it shuttered in 2017, reborn in 2021 as a sleek boutique under new management. Its dark chapters archived like faded lobby wallpaper. For Elisa's loved ones, closure came in fragments. A private memorial in Vancouver, tributes on her Tumblr that still draw quiet visitors. Her story, once a viral enigma, now serves as a poignant reminder of the fragile line between exploration and peril, and the quiet pleas hidden in a single, silent frame. What do you think really drew Elisa to that rooftop that fateful night? Could better safeguards at places like the Cecil have changed everything? And have you ever stayed somewhere that gave you the chills, wondering about its untold stories? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read every one. This deep dive into a case that still baffles hit home. Smash that like button. Subscribe to Crime Justice for more unraveling of real-life enigmas targeting the truth seekers out there. And turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Justice isn't always served in a courtroom, sometimes it's in sharing these stories. See you in the next one.